I wasn't chubby when I was little, but then the bullying just got worse and worse. I used to get all sorts, like I was dirty, I smelled like curry. Food was always my thing to go and hide. I had a miscarriage. I actually had two, and my weight played a very big part in that, to be fair. When I had my miscarriage, I stood on a train station and I was ready to jump. I thought I'd let everybody down. I don't know who it was some man. In my eyes, I think it was God, to be fair, saying, you've got a lot to live for. Go and do something special. My first thing was to go on Cambridge diet. I lost like 8 pounds in the first week, and then I ended up collapsing at the gym. I went to the gym and it became so fun. The weight just started to fall off. People think it's an addiction that I go because it makes me feel happy. I'm not doing this because I want to be size 0. I want to do this because I want to be a mom.
Welcome back to the KultureKast pod.
Please put that in, it would be hilarious.
Welcome back to the KultureKast podcast. My guest today is documenting her fitness journey through her Instagram page. She is currently 13 stone down, naturally, and using no fad diet. Welcome, Jassi. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
No worries. As you're probably aware by now, the way that I like to start the podcast is basically take a trip down memory lane. We spoke briefly just before the start, and that you were born and brought up in Wolverhampton, but I've had a few apnea from Wolverhampton on before, but you're from I think a different area, which was the only brown girl in school and things like that. So if you want to talk about how that was.
Yeah, so we were living in a predominantly Gora area, and my dad wanted us to go to this one school where my sister was the first Indian to go to that school. They had to kind of apply to the council to let us go there. And we used to have to go to church every bloody Friday.
Oh, it's a Catholic school?
Yeah, a Catholic school, yeah. So you can imagine, like, me at school thinking, wow, what am I doing here? There was me, my friend came after me, and there's one other, I don't know what they were, they're from I don't know if they were Jew or something, another person that was non-Catholic in the whole school in our year.
What was that like then? Did he get any like comments of what's different, or was the
Yeah.
No?
So I used to get all sorts, like I was dirty and I've not showered, I smell like curry. Probably did, to be fair, because I used to take paratha to school, so probably. And then my dad used to wear a bug, so I used to get called Raghead's daughter. And my dad was also a policeman as well, so you could imagine growing up all the shit that we used to get growing. I used to have not many friends, to be fair. I didn't have any, and I wasn't chubby in like when I was little. Probably up until I was about 8, 9. I was not chubby at all. Like I was quite slim. I was very active. I used to enjoy doing things like PE. I loved all that sort of stuff. But then the bullying just got worse and worse because obviously my parents wouldn't let me cut my hair. So I used to go to school with the thickest gut ever. And nobody wanted to be my friend, and I was just when you used to have that one person that people use as a person to take the piss out of, just as entertainment during lunch times. I used to have my friend but he was a guy and he really couldn't. It was kind of like a fight or flight kind of mode for him as well, because he kind of fit in because he was a very good looking boy and all the Gaudia loved him and they fancied him, so he was always allowed to be in where I wasn't because I was not the same color as them. And then I started to gain weight probably around 7, where I used to binge eat. So I'd go and hide in my store and eat all the crisps that my mum and dad brought from school, like for school. So I'd go and hide and I'd eat all the time. And my mum and dad didn't realize why I was eating. They just thought, oh, she just doesn't eat proper food, so she just, binge eating. And they tried to stop me, but I still carried on.
Yeah, I feel like I probably relate to a lot of parts of that, probably more than most, because up in Newcastle, I've said on the podcast a few times as well, like the sort of ethnic community, it wasn't really strong at the school that I went to either. And there were a few other up on it, but the maybe I don't want to say weren't as proud as me, because that's obviously like I can't say that, like, because they could be in a different way, but they probably weren't more as overt as me. Like I was very blatantly Punjabi, if that makes sense. I'd like listen to any Punjabi music, but I could hear people saying, "Oh, Punjabi MC's coming," because they'll hear the Tumbi, and it's instantly like, but they'll say it as like a mocking term, and I didn't shy away from it. I'd play dole in assemblies because the teachers would love me as that token brown kid of, we have ethnic diversity in the school, and I'd
Same
lap
as
it
us.
up. Exactly. And then obviously when comments do come, similar to yourself, food was my sort of go-to outlet as well. And I think in I don't know if it's just like the busyness of our up on it parents, because they're very work driven all the time. They're just like, as long as you feed yourself, like as long as we're providing food for you, then we're doing our job. And sometimes it's actually like, no, you need to restrict the food that we're having as well. Because as a kid, you give me Red Bulls, Cokes, and anything, sweets, Haribos, I'd have everything at such a young age, which now obviously like learning more about even caffeine. I'm completely off caffeine now, but I consume so much at such a young age, and it's so bad for you, but you don't realize.
Yeah, definitely. And then I'm with you, but and then around about I started eating more and more. Obviously, I started to gain weight, and then obviously girls naturally will change their hormones, and then I just started to put more and more weight on. And food was always my thing to go and hide, I think. And then I went into high school, and then I didn't tell anybody I was getting bullied until I think I was about 11, 12, when I was at my big dad's house, which my dad's brother, Dayaji's house, and my cousins were just taking a mickey because I'm the youngest out of everyone. And they were just like, "Oh, you're growing up like you're a little girl now." And then I just started crying. And then my dad sat me down and she's like, "What's wrong?" Because nobody wants to be my friend at school. And I said, at home, there's no one my friend, because they're all so much older than me. Like my eldest cousin, she's 20 years older than me.
Yeah.
And my sister's, one sister's 5 years and the other one's 3 years. But it wasn't cool to hang out with your little sister, really. Come on. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, no one at home wants to be my friend. No one at school wants to be my friend. And then my dad went to school and literally all hell broke. And he was like, how have you allowed my daughter to get like this? And then, still people, I didn't know it was my friend, even with this. And then I thought, right, when I go to high school, I'll make some new friends. The first year was really difficult. And I guess that's when I started to cut myself, because I used to be called Sati's big little sister, my middle sister's name. So, because I was big, they used to call me that. And I was like, oh, this is not going to stop. So I started to try and cut myself, which clearly didn't resolve anything. And then I started making friends with up there. But then I was quite content. I was like, okay, doesn't matter what size I am. I'm just going to carry on. And it didn't really impact me for a while. And then I put more weight on because I watched my mum have a stroke at 13.
Right.
And then my mum was out of the house for just under 12 months. So we kind of had to look after ourselves. My grandma looked after us, but obviously old Biddy grandma, she could do what she wanted to. So that was quite difficult for me. And again, probably I went to food to eat. I had counselling though. I had a special school counsellor because it was trauma. I think I didn't realise it back then, but when you see that happening at such a young age, I used to have nightmares up until about a couple of years ago.
Oh wow. Yeah, exactly. You don't realize it when you're so young, but it has like a massive impact. When you say cutting yourself, like and I think I know what you like alluding to, but it's not like wrist cutting. It was more so trying to cut the
like cutting
cut.
The fat.
That's why I wanted to clarify it, just because obviously if somebody's listening, they might confuse the two. But it was very much so you would get scissors and try to cut your belly fat off or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny when you're an adult and you say it, but when you're a kid, you genuinely think that would work. Like,
Yeah.
you think that, oh, I'm just going to cut off my belly fat and then boom, I'm going to be skinny and I'm going to have a six pack or whatever. And obviously, it's that naivety. With a lot of the comments. So obviously, like when you said you went to the Catholic school when you were younger, a lot of them were like sort of racial comments. But then when you got into high school, was that when it would transition to more weight related?
It was both, to be fair. Even at primary school, they used to call me Fatty and Fat Jazz. Who ate all the pies? I remember that stupid song. Who ate all the pies? Just you fat bastard. Fucking dickhead kids. Sorry, do you know I laugh about it now because they all added me on social media, and I rejected. Apart from one person who actually apologized at school and became a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else, I just cut them off. To be fair, like I don't need them in my adult life.
100%. It is funny because I remember like when I started hitting the gym, it was really interesting to see that some of the lads who would be picking on me at school a few years earlier, before I had like my growth spurt and sort of filled out my body and had like my own sort of body transformation, I guess you could call it. But they went from basically like picking on me to be like, oh, whoa, he lifts a bit of weight, and oh, whoa, he looks like a lot different now.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't hold grudges, neither do they define me in my adult life. But sometimes I do go into that childlike behavior where I just want to binge eat. But I've been able to probably, not so much in COVID though, that was probably more harder than I expected. But prior to that, I'm really like disciplined on how to overcome that.
So what sparked this like this change? So you've went from childhood to like, well, even adolescence all the way through. It was even post marriage, wasn't it?
Yeah. I married my husband when I was like a fat shit. I'm so surprised he married me, to be fair, because he's actually really slim. He's got a pot belly now though, but he's lost it. He loses it very quickly. What made me okay? So there was two factors. Everybody knows. I was shopping for one of my cousin's weddings, and I was not actually buying for myself. I was buying for someone else. And the lady in the shop said, "Oh, we don't cater for your size." Like, wow, dickhead. It was on Soho Road. I went back to the same shop. I actually bought a suit my size many years later. And then I had a miscarriage. I actually had two, and they both resulted in my weight. Because I was so overweight, my body was too weak to kind of, not weak, probably unhealthy to carry a child.
Mm-hmm. So did you have to go to the doctor and then he explained like what you would have to do?
Yeah, because I was really sick after I had the miscarriage, and my weight played a very big part in that, to be fair.
Have you like talked about the medical conditions on your platform yet? I don't know if you have or not, so I'm hesitant to ask.
You can ask. I have a so we'll talk about when I did Cambridge diet first, because I ended up fucking up one of my kidneys.
Right.
And then I'll tell you about a medical condition that I have that's quite rare. So we'll go through. My first thing was to go on Cambridge diet.
I've not heard of that diet.
Weight.
So what does that
All
entail?
you do is you eat 600 calories worth of fresh air every day. Basically, just drink juice or soup.
Oh, okay.
And that's it. And it makes
just 600 calories a day.
Yeah, I lost like 8 pounds in the first week.
Freaking hell. Okay.
And then I ended up collapsing at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't great. And then I ended up with a problem with my kidney, which made a slight hole in between my kidney and my bladder, because somehow it's connected. I don't ask me. It's weird. And so then I would have had to have a catheter if my kidney and bladder didn't repair, and so I was on some medicine for a while. It repaired, but I still take medicine for that anyway, which is quite cool. That doesn't really impact me. I just have to be mindful of what I eat. and make sure I do eat proper food rather than fairy dust.
So was this cause of that liver problem like specifically that diet?
Probably the stuff in Cambridge that may have caused it. They can't, unless they did a full-on biopsy of my kidney,
Okay,
which I wasn't going to let them.
yeah.
Yep. And then I lost weight naturally. I went to the gym. I remember with my yellow Gap jumper. It's always my picture that I look at. And I met the most funniest PT ever, and he taught me so much. He used to give me doner kebab once a week just to eat.
Yeah.
A mixed grill. I'd be like, are you sure I can eat this? And the weight just started to fall off, to be fair. And I did that for I was with him for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2008, I got diagnosed with a rare blood condition.
Okay.
So my blood clots, I've got 3 different elements that cause it to clot. They fight against each other, and only 5% of the world have that. So I take blood thinners now for life.
So how's that like impacted the fitness side of things? Do you have to be
my legs go to sleep quite constantly because I have a blood clot in my leg.
Right.
So I could be on the stairmaster sometimes and my leg goes to sleep, but I have to wear special socks, really trendy ones.
Yeah, the compression socks that you wear on like flights and things.
Yeah. So when you got a dress on and you got these bloody compression tights, you look like a right tit sometimes. But my one leg's bigger than the other, so that's because of the form. But other than that, I just have to be mindful of some of the food that I eat. I really recommend going to dietitians. I can't take I won't be able to take fat burners or probably not even take creatine, to be honest. I can't take many things that are like make your blood flow move up, because obviously when you take things like fat burners, creatine and things like that, your blood goes up, like your heart rate goes up. I can't afford for too much blood to pump around my body because it's so thin, so it'll just flood. And then I'll just
how does that work in a gym sense? Because obviously following your Instagram, and now that gyms are back open and things, like you work out numerous times in a day sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it's not even just once. But then you're saying that you can't have your heart rate up too high because of like pumping the blood.
I just need to manage it. I've got an Apple Watch, so my Apple Watch will as long as I keep it within the fat burning state, I'm okay. But I guess when you take things like fat burners, it pushes you even higher because your heart. I don't know if you've ever taken them. I have. No. I'm only allowed to have 1 coffee a day now. I used to drink like 3 or 4 coffees a day, to be honest. But now I'm just like, I have coffee once a day. That's in the morning, and then I just have like decaffeinated green tea.
So do you have to like be wary of your heart rate even when you're in the gym, so you can't go into like that red zone, let's call it?
I can, as long as I get to like 160 to 170, but not for a substantial, like I could do it for like 10 minutes and then have to bring it back down gradually. I can't just pump it back up and then like let it all go down. You know, there's some science behind like my tracking of my heart rate, and my watch starts going crazy anyway. It'll start like vibrating because if it goes too high.
Yeah. Is that something that you've put in yourself like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a thing called a hematologist. Do you know what one of them are? It's a blood doctor.
Right. Okay.
She's my best. Like she's ace. Like I'll just message her going, I'm not feeling too great. What do I do? And like when you got private healthcare, you get some extra fringe benefits.
Yeah.
That in my workplace give it us for free. So.
That's good. Yeah, because I've got the Apple Watch as well for myself, but I didn't know that you could do like certain things like that.
There's so much things you can do with it. Like it reminds you to breathe, meditate, stand up, sit down. I think it's like the best. I don't even use it for like, you know, like some people use it for texting or reading texts. Mine's mainly to track how many steps I've done and how many calories I've burnt.
Yeah, mine's mainly for like the fitness side of things as well, which is why like now I'm thinking of getting rid of it because I don't like all the other shit like that comes up, all the notifications and the stand up every hour. I'm like, I know that I need to stand up. Yeah, just don't tell me, buzz me like at 10 to all the time. And to be fair, like one of my mates has just got a new watch as well. I forgot the name of it. I think it's like a Gemini something. And he was saying that the biggest difference is because of all the other stuff that's in the Apple Watch, the battery life obviously isn't as good. So I don't have my like always on display or anything, and it still only lasts me like a day and a half. Whereas this new watch that he got has all the fitness features, tracks your sleep, all of that stuff, and it lasts him like a week because he doesn't have all these like he doesn't get notifications from his text messages or anything. It's purely for fitness. So I'm having a look into it, but I digress. I digress. When you went to your doctor and he basically goes after these miscarriages and he goes, you basically need to change, like turn everything around, change your lifestyle. And you mentioned there you went on the Cambridge diet. So did you try any other sort of diets that are bullshit, basically, is what I'm trying to say?
I've tried Slim Fast. I tried Slim Fast before I got married. That was a bullshit diet. I've done Slimming World, actually. I found that quite good. I found it quite easy. I think Slimming World is really good for, somebody that wants to start making some decisions in their life and they can't afford to get a PT to help with the dietitian and, wants to sustain stuff. I think that I would always, because it promotes you eating. Some of it I don't agree with because you eat so many carbs and it's okay, which is bizarre beyond me. But I like the fact that it helps people live into their life. But yeah, there's been some dodgy diets and stuff.
Do you want to shout out any in particular?
Herbalife.
Oh, okay.
I've heard of some other ones. I've never tried them though. What's the other one that's out there? It's Cambridge, Lighter Life. There's those, because they always DM me saying, would you represent our brand? And I'm like, no.
Not at all. Have you been watching that Meet the Khans? Or
No.
that's been on like Amir Khan's show. So his wife got a skin lightening product or something, and they were like, can you promote this? And it was very much like, well, no, because it sends like a bad message to my kids. And I feel like that's what like people need to do with these sort of fad sort of diet plans, because I was really lucky when I started getting into the gym. One of my mates who became a PT eventually, like he was very much like, he was already in the gym for a couple of years, had done a lot of research outside of school and was already on that sort of trajectory to become a PT. So then as soon as I got into it, he was telling me about like macros and how to train properly and how to track your calories, and got me to download MyFitnessPal like straight away.
MyFitnessPal, yes,
exactly.
My pal. It's quite good when you're out there because you can just scan it and that's it and get used to it. And I guess that's all you need, really. You need to work out how many calories you need to eat a day and then just fit it in your macros.
That's it. But because he was already on that side of things, I was quite fortunate that I didn't fall into a lot of them fad diets that you're talking about, like the Cambridge. I didn't even know what the Cambridge one was. I've heard of like Herbalife and stuff. I heard of this one called Atkins, but I've never really looked into it. And
is that the one you eat meat only?
No, that's a carnivore diet. I don't
know.
Yeah. It is really interesting though, because I feel like sometimes like people mistake some of the fad ones for actual like the vegan crack or carnivore or like just omnivore diets. Like people ban these terms around, so like ketogenic diets and things.
Oh, keto.
Yeah.
Kerry, was it Danielle? What was her name? I think her name was Danielle or something, and she did the keto diet thing, and she had like abs within like a week or 2 weeks. She got ripped on Instagram. What was her name? Oh, I don't know. She was one of them.
See, the weird thing is with that is that I would be skeptical of that just because it takes around 2 weeks for like ketogenesis to take place. But and this is a thing that I feel like most people don't understand, that like it takes time for your body to adapt to any diet, which is always like quite wary. Like you always see like the beginner gains, but you also see like the beginner drop-offs in like I imagine when the gyms back opened up and everyone started the diets again, people would be losing 4, 5, 6 pounds maybe in the first week, which is on a normal diet that would be unhealthy as how fast you're losing it. But obviously like at the beginning it's very different. But I don't even know what was going on with that one, to be honest. I was like, yeah. I think people because like when these science terms are banded around as diets and when these fad diets come around, I feel like a lot of them get mixed up with each other.
Yeah.
And so like for keto, for example, I've not tried it myself, but if it works for Cristiano Ronaldo, it'll work for anybody. But it does take the time for you to get into it properly. It depends how disciplined you're going to
into
be into
keto
it.
state, yeah.
Exactly. But there's so many of them fad things around, which is, it's not nice because a lot of the Instagram pages and things promote, it's like a face that you want that body, but they're not actually telling you how they got that body, which is very different.
Did you see that I put a post on today on my story where people put like these paddings on their gym leggings on a photo shoot?
Right, okay. I have seen
like,
this. I've seen
I
this.
put it on my story today and I was like, what the fuck? Like, basically they put like bum pads to make the peachy bum thing.
Yeah.
And this is the world that we live in, like, you know, photoshopped abs and photoshopped body. I've seen it all. Like, one of my friends, he called it out. He was like, Jassi, can you see the warp on the floor, on the tiles behind this person? And I'm like, oh shit, yeah. You could just see like the tile will go straight and then it goes whoop and whoops back out again.
This is the thing. I feel like because you've went into the trappings previously, you become more aware. Is that why you're a bit more passionate about it?
No, because I probably went into the trap before Instagram, to be honest, before Instagram was big.
No, but I mean, like, why you're passionate about it now? Because I've heard you.
Yeah, because I think it needs to be told, because it's unfair for people that are like vulnerable. I think if you're there's always some sort of vulnerability when people have gained weight. People think, oh, it's because they're unhealthy, they don't care about themselves. But fundamentally, there's something vulnerable, like something not right, or there's some sort of vulnerability there. And I can speak for myself. I was bullied at school. And then after I got married, it wasn't the easiest thing for me. You know, I gained more weight after I got married because A, I had a miscarriage. B, I think I really struggled to meet the expectations of my in-laws. Probably still do, to be honest. That's one for another day. But I was very free growing up. My parents let me live life, go and see the world, where I think I became a puppet after I got married. And I just went to functions just because I had to. I lost who I was as a person, and then I constantly did a baby ni hale aya, and I'm like, okay, let me go and buy one from the shop. And then you know, my condition, because I take certain medicine, you have to do a cycle of them. And because of COVID, I haven't been able to come up with my current cycle tablets, which means I can't have children with them because I will die or I'll be very ill. So hopefully in a few months' time I can come off them, and then I have to inject myself every day.
Yeah, it sounds that doesn't sound nice. And I think the that trappings of like meeting expectations of in-laws, I think it's a big thing in the community that doesn't really get spoken about too much. When you did sort of like transition from after like when you were starting to lose weight and get into fitness, obviously that's the diet side of things, but what did you do for like fitness wise? Obviously you went to the gym, you didn't like meet your personal trainer straight away, so what were the things that you were doing in between?
I met the personal trainer. I went to the gym every morning at 5 o'clock.
Right, okay.
I
What were you
still
doing,
do
like
it now.
cardio or weights or?
Yeah, I did cardio and weights. And now I've changed it slightly because I'm just lazy, but I get up every morning to do my fasted cardio. I go on the Stairmaster.
Yeah.
Not because I have, no, people think it's an addiction that I go because it makes me feel happy.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me start my day I listen to Bart, Keaton. I will listen to something on the Stairmaster first thing in the morning, so I've got a fresh head and a direction, because I still suffer with anxiety when you've got this stupid blood condition like I have. It's really straining on your mental health and things like that. And I mentioned it to you that I want to touch Wight, because I feel like, yes, people just ban the terminology around, but I'll tell you a story. When I had my miscarriage, I stood on a train station and I was ready to jump off a train track. it got so bad because I thought I'd let everybody down. I'm married to an only son, and they expect a lot of me, and I can't live to their expectation because it's just not the way I'm programmed. So I felt like I was a failure. And somebody, I don't know who it was some man. In my eyes, I think it was God, to be fair, saying, you've got a lot to live for, go and do something special. And I feel like my message in life is, you know, I'm going to do a post about it actually. Saying no is very difficult, but you have to do it. And the person who's getting the no needs to learn to accept that no is okay too. So when I get on that Stairmaster every day, I have a goal in my head that, do you know what? I'm not doing this because I want to be size 0. I want to do this because I want to be a mom.
Yeah.
That's my biggest drive at the moment. And in my 5 questions, you'll get to hear that too. That the day I say I have a healthy child in my house because I made myself happy, will probably the day that I've fulfilled what I was put onto earth for, my purpose. And yes, I'll still keep training and I'll lose weight, but I just want to make that message aware that, you know what, it's okay to go to the gym at the age of 31 when you're married. Instead of going to to a family function, and eating like crap at a party, you can sit there with your lunchbox like I used to.
That was something that I wanted to touch on later, but that what you've just said is very, very powerful, extremely powerful. I'm sort of speechless, to be honest, because I don't really know which part to talk about there. Like the old man or whoever approached you, well, God bless him first and foremost, because in this busy fucking world where nobody gives a shit about anybody, like for him to go out of his way and just be like, look, you've got someone to live for. God bless him for doing that.
Yeah.
How did you sort of approach the mental health side of things after that? Because I assume that like you said that you had counselling and stuff at school as well. So is that something that you've kept throughout later life as well, or?
Not really until this point where I actually had to go and get a counsellor.
It was that like another wake up call of that you need to go back.
Yeah, I was like, I was like, what the hell? This is just so taboo. Like, funnily enough, my dad's actually a counsellor now. And I just thought, this is just dumb. I don't need to see a counsellor. But she was really nice. I've seen her a few times. I had a car accident 2 years ago, which was quite bad. And she helped me with the trauma of that. And just because you're going to see a shrink doesn't make you mad. Remember, like the whole saying before, if you need to go and get help, you go and bargain, or you're mad or you're stupid when you get your ears ring and things like that. It's okay to go and seek help.
Yeah.
And the more we can talk about it in a positive light, like it isn't going to fix everything because you have to do the main things. But when you acknowledge the fact that you need help, they will give you the tools to get that help.
I was speaking to Bali Chima. He's also got a podcast and he's also into lifting and things, and he talks about mental health a lot as well. And on that podcast, he was like, I just rang them up. So he went through the doctors and was like, this is what's going on. They went, right, we'll pass you on to like a team of therapists, and I think he had to like an arrange appointment and talk to them on that. And he was like, I just spoke to this person on the phone, and within 20 minutes, like all this stuff just came out and he didn't even expect it. It's because these people are trained professionals. Do you know what I mean? Like you might not be quote unquote bargain like we're saying, because even that is stupid. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's a very cultural thing for us as like South Asians, that we have to deal with the stigmas of it. But that's another conversation in itself. But they're trained professionals to help you identify what the problem is and help you work on it. It's not just, right, you go there once and they give you all the answers. It's more so like they ask you the questions that force you to ask yourself them questions, if that makes sense. And like people hold all these doctor degrees really highly in the South Asian community, but when it comes to mental health, then it's like, oh no. And it's a very strange topic. But
I think it's because they faced it, but they didn't know what it was.
Yeah, 100%. When you hear about, like, especially in our community, of like alcoholism and things like that, and you don't know where it stems from, and drugs and things like that, and what is it called, vices, unhealthy vices basically, and everybody's got them, but it's just picking your vice. If you transform food or
Yeah.
indulging in food to gym, you're
Mm.
just switching one for the other. You still got an outlet, but it's just
Yeah.
one's unhealthy and one's a bit more healthy. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, people can go down the gym route and also make that really unhealthy, as
Yeah.
well as in striving for bodies that don't exist, or like pushing themselves to the ground because they feel some sort of insecurity in whatever way. But if you just make them small little steps and substitute one for the other, it should be really good. Hopefully anyway. So when you've this was more recently, the mental health car crash. No, not the car, when you were at the train station. How long ago was this?
Probably about 4 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago.
So at that point, had you already started like your Instagram page and things like that, or no? Was that more recent?
Recently, I think I didn't really like. I'm stupidly didn't document my first transit on Instagram because I didn't really. I used to use Instagram for nothing interesting, to be fair, because it wasn't that big back then.
Yeah, nobody
People
does,
used
to
to
be
be.
fair.
Everybody was on Facebook, really, and then even then, like I just kept it quite quiet
Mm-hmm.
because I thought, oh, what? Actually, should I tell you how it started? We had a bet at work in January who could lose the most weight in 20 whatever year it was, and we used to pay £1 a week to get weighed,
Right.
and it became so fun. And I lost, so I won every month the money, but it became like fun. So I let my friend Cheryl used to keep the money, and then at the end, she basically gave me a big wad of cash. So when I bought some new clothes,
It's a good incentive, isn't it?
yeah, it was, yeah, it was fun. Nothing fit me, to be fair,
And
at
then,
that point.
so then, what led you to start the Instagram page? Because, like, putting yourself out there like that's obviously got to take some balls as well.
My friend told me to put myself out there. He was like, wow, you've done so well. Just put a transformation picture up and see what happens. And then I remember, like, I only had like about 20, 30 followers. And then do you remember Seek Muscle, the old Seek Muscle?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They reposted my thingy and ended up having like 500 followers. I was like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, they've been that page is goated. And they've been really helpful in the podcast as well, with a lot of the fitness guests that we've had on. They constantly
Yeah.
posted the stories and stuff, which is really cool. What was the sort of response that you got from like social media? Because
I got really good policy. They were like, wow, this is brilliant. Like, I think people are more shocked that you're able to do this after you get married, because I guess people do their transformations before they get married. Where I
before the
was
wedding
doing it,
day.
yeah, I did it after 2 years after I got married. I was like, oh, I need to make a change with my life.
But I feel like that's probably better, because it's say like like you're not doing it for anybody else, like you said before. You're doing it for yourself. So, and I think a lot of the people that do it for the wedding day, credit to them. Obviously, it still takes a lot of hard work and effort, but then it is like for what other people will perceive you on your day, or for your
Yeah.
photos that you want your kids to see, or whatever. But you should just do what makes you feel happy at the time. Do you know what I mean?
And maybe it wasn't the right time then, and it was now. So that's how I see it. Maybe, although it wasn't the time.
Mm-hmm. What do you think you've like learned from like nutrition and like weightlifting wise from the start of your fitness journey till like now? Has there been massive differences?
Yeah, probably how my forms have improved dramatically. I can lift a hell of a lot of weight, which is quite cool. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize I had that much strength. And nutrition wise, probably, you can eat everything as long as you're within your macros and you're eating healthy. And also for me, it's like, what can I eat that's going to be beneficial for my medical condition as well? Because there's no point in eating something that's going to aggravate me even more and make me more sick. So it's all about, like, too much acidy stuff can fuck up my kidney. Too much kale makes my blood too thin, and it's just like I'm not a dietitian, and I was going to ask for help, but I have a nutritionist as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I get one because of my condition. I can go to a nutritionist and ask for help,
That's very cool.
and always learn about what's good for you. And eating at aloo paratha is okay. Oh, I could do one like today. My breakfast was prashad because I went Gurdwara this morning. So I went gym after. It's all right. Can't balance it
Not a
all.
bad breakfast, to be fair.
No, not really.
It's no, it is. It's. I think everyone just needs to learn what works for them, isn't it? Because everybody wants to chase all these different diets, like we were speaking about before. But people do like go to these diets and things that might not actually work for them specifically. Not just is in like physically, like the impact that it has on the body, but even mentally. Like if you
Yeah.
do need to have a lubrot on a Sunday, have one. Your
Yeah.
trainer at the beginning is probably like was really sensible in saying, okay, be clean, but then here's a kebab. If that's what you really like, have it
I
once
like
a week.
pizza. I would rather have had a pizza, to be honest.
You should have told him to have pizza instead. You would have switched out.
Although no cheat meals for a little while until I lose some of this COVID weight.
Yeah, that's the thing that everyone's gonna have to get back into. Weight training wise, and I like what you said before that obviously you started it in later life and nobody should be embarrassed. And I feel like to do it in later life because I feel like it is very important. At any age. Um, if anything, maybe don't go too early, but definitely there's never too late.
No.
You know what I mean, like if you need to be a bit sensible and maybe let your body mature into what it is, or what
Yeah.
it is supposed to be. But definitely, like there's no upper age limit. Keep on doing it. You see some on the Seek Muscle page, they have they repost a guy quite often. I think he's in his 60s or his 70s, and he lifts
Okay.
more than most Monday like our age sort of thing. And honestly, inspirational.
Yeah.
But when you do weight training, do you like lift heavy? Do you do compounds? Do you what's your sort of split like?
I do a mixture, to be fair. Like I always like to go, I always have one really heavy leg day.
Mhm.
And then I do a lot of reps to try and lose weight because it's a kind of form of, cardio and stuff like that when you go, I hate upper body, but I need to get better, right?
Yeah.
I like deadlifts. They're my favorite. Leg press is probably my second favorite, and squats. Before lockdown, I managed to squat 120 kg. With That's not including the bar. I leg pressed 400 kg plus a bunda.
Plus a bunda. Okay.
Yeah, who is now my PT. And I can deadlift before lockdown. Probably before lockdown, I could deadlift about 140.
Impressive numbers. Impressive numbers.
And that's the age of 35 with a blood clot in my leg.
Smashed it. That's what I'm saying. Like it's an inspiration. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
But do you know what it is? It's all up here. It's all in your mind. If I went in and go, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do this.
yeah.
Even if I feel like shit during a PT session, I keep going, I've got to smash this. I've got to smash this. I've got to smash this. And that's what I tell myself in every gym session.
I've spoken about this on the podcast a few times, like of like this story. So when I deadlifted 200 kilograms, it took me weeks, and I knew I could do it. Like physically, I could probably
All right.
do it.
I'll just shut up with mine.
No, okay.
Thanks. He just wanted to put that out there.
I'll use it. I'll use the same example for 100 kilograms. Then it's that round number, basically. It's that round number. So when I was going up to 100 kilograms, I could do 90, 95, and I could do it for reps easily. But for some reason in my mind, it was just that 100 kilograms sounds like such a big weight, and
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? So it took me absolutely ages. And then when I did 100, it was fine, flied up. And then the same thing happened at 200. And I thought I've overcame this mental barrier at 100, but then it came up again just because it's a big number. And a lot of it is mind and mind over matter. But again, like when we're speaking about age as well, that's a number which is just mind over matter as well. And I feel like, go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, and like lifting heavy is just a little bit of a pride thing. It's not a necessity because, to lose weight, it isn't, you don't need to lift heavy amount to lose weight. It's just, for me, it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And that's why I always try to have like one really heavy day. And the other days I'll do like pyramids where I'll go high, then I'll drop down again. To the point where I'm like, I can't feel my legs.
But that's the best days when you can't feel your legs, you know you've done something good. We spoke about lockdowns and things, like obviously and getting back into the gym. How was lockdown for yourself? So obviously going through this fitness transformation and sort of becoming like a gym rat, I guess. How was it with gyms being closed?
It was awful. I had to make some makeshift gym in my garage. Then I was living in a construction site, so I was getting my house done at the same time. And to be fair, last summer one was fine. I'd lost in that one. For some reason, this one, The mid-year one was the one in, when did we have, December one was okay too.
Mm-hmm.
It was this year one, from January. I found it so hard.
It's that repetitiveness, isn't it? Like, I think the first one, everybody sort of was like, "Oh my god, we're gonna break from work. We're gonna catch up with the friends that we haven't seen or talked to, sorry, in so long." That John Wick was on Instagram every morning doing bloody home workouts. So everyone was still quite upbeat about the situation, like capitalizing on it. I feel like the second and the third ones, it was like, right, I'm a bit bored now.
Yeah, and I could go bike riding. I did lots of bike riding in the summer. Like, I went to different towns on my bike, and then I think the thing I found the hardest is not being able to go see my parents
Mm-hmm.
or my family. Like, my husband went out to work, and I was stuck at home.
Because you live in Leeds now, right?
I do,
So,
yes.
so it's a bit more difficult to go to Wolverhampton than it is probably to nip on the corner to see someone on the sly.
Yeah, I had to stay away from people as well because I just didn't want to get sick. But I've been double jabbed now. I've had both of my jabs, so I can see people and not be sick.
Smashed it. How was that? Did you feel any side effects and stuff for the jabs? Or
The first one was like hell,
right?
and the second jab, apart from feeling a little bit sick and a headache, I'm all right.
Okay, that's not too bad.
But it hurts, when you've had your injections. They proper hurt. And because I'm on blood thinners, I've got like a massive bruise, like someone's punched me in my arm.
Oh, that's not nice. I heard something very funny, and this is the shittest transition ever, but I want to talk about it anyway. And you mentioned it before, the meal prep to like weddings and things. So you rock up to a wedding, everybody's having the wedding food of like immaculate food that everybody would dream of as pakore, samosa, all these things. How do you stop yourself from eating all of that and having your packed lunch that you
So I'd be like, right, pass me some salad. So I'd make salad.
Yeah.
And I'd probably have, in the start, I'd just nick some of the chicken. And then I'm not really bothered. And then by the time it got to dessert, I'd probably just go and dance, or because the dance floor wasn't, I'd just like sit there with my lunchbox going, what are you lot all eating?
Yeah.
And just be like, but then recently I'll just eat what they're having. Like, I'll just change my diet around for the wedding part. Like, I won't have the paratha in the morning or the samosa and the pakore. I'll just have like I would have eaten something like porridge beforehand, just so I've got enough fuel in me for the wedding party, and then just dance it off.
Has your relationship with food changes and like now you see it more as fuel, or can you still like enjoy and indulge in certain things?
Yeah, any day, give me a chocolate cake.
Yeah.
And pizza. I'll just be like, pass it here. But yeah, like certain things, like I can't even stomach it anymore, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't be able to eat. I'm on half paratha and I'm dead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't eat anymore. Or I'll have saag, but without the turka.
Okay, yeah.
And I'll just have that as spinach and but a little bit. But I guess food is a thing that too much of everything will make you sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, too much, like if you eat too much fruit, it's bad for you. Too much veg is bad for you. Too much protein is bad for you. Too much carbs are bad for you. You just got to balance it all out. And I guess we've got back to the story of your macros and things like that. But Gordon said something really good yesterday. Who said you need carbs in your diet or protein in your diet and things like that? It's quite a good conversation. He does say some smart things sometimes. If you listen, so you can cut this bit out because I don't want to give him a big head. But he does raise some good questions, like, like veganism. How good is that for you? How can we prove apart from for nature and like that sort of, how is it? What's good for us, what isn't? Do you know what I mean? There's like so
and
many
even that can be argued, like, because they need to make substitute products, so then they have to compensate in other ways, and sometimes that can hurt the environment as well. Like, and
well, yesterday I was in town and they were walking around with TVs of a slaughter farm.
Yeah, like I can understand that point of like if that's how you feel, and when if you've seen someone bring out a plate of chicken and you're thinking about little chickens that have just been slaughtered,
okay,
then fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. You do you in it, but if that doesn't affect somebody else, then don't really like push it on them. Do you know what I mean? It just do what you feel is best for you, and if there is something that is like very powerful, then the message will go through to everybody anyway. Do you know what I mean?
I think I would eventually. I was a vegetarian for 10 years though.
Oh really?
Up until I was 30.
Right. Why do you? Why? So most people are going the opposite direction. Are you trying to be like a hipster and just rebel against everything?
I don't even know what happened. I think it started with a chicken and mushroom pie, to be honest, and then it just went downhill. But I will go back there, but not. I want to go back there purely for Sikhi, I think,
Right,
and for
yeah.
humanity, and probably once I've learned how to adapt to that diet, I think I want to go back to it, because that's the original reason why I was a vegetarian in the first place. I didn't eat eggs. I didn't have biscuits with eggs in. I didn't have. I think I lived on Linda McCartney sausages, to be honest, and mushrooms and halloumi cheese from Nando's.
Oh, that is very nice. That is very, very nice. But yeah, on that side of things, obviously, yeah, if it brings you closer to God as well, then fair enough. Do it. I say all these things, but I regularly take breaks of eating meat. Like I'll eat meat, and then for a month or two, I'll go vegetarian and just sort
It
of.
gets boring, don't you think, eating meat all the time?
Yeah, exactly. And plus, it's I feel quite. I just feel halka. I don't know how. Like I feel rejuvenated when I take a break off eating meat. Like your stomach needs a bit of rest from all the processing and things as well. So, and it is good. But I feel this is the thing. I think is you should probably try a bit of everything. Don't. But when you were saying too much of one thing is bad for you, and that's with everything. But even if it's like vegetables, like a lot of vegetables, or have their own protection, so like that they don't like get. Well, like their defense mechanism. So like an animal's defense mechanism is that it could probably kill you, but like a vegetable or a plant will have certain ingredients in it or certain chemicals in it naturally, not like pesticides and stuff. That is like if somebody was to overindulge in any one thing, they would get sick.
Yeah.
So if you have too many carrots, you'll get sick. But if you have a whole host of vegetables, then it's good. But if you have a whole host of everything, it's good. It's only if you have that one thing. And alcohol's the best example of that. Do you know what I mean? People always say, "Oh, drink red wine; it's good for your heart," or drink a one glassy. Yeah, do you know what I mean? One glassy of whiskey or something. One peg is fine. Indians don't listen to that shit though, so that's when it gets wrong.
Have a whole jug of it. I know it whiskey. I'm just like, where did that whiskey bottle go?
Exactly.
I don't know how anybody can drink whiskey. It's disgusting.
A question that I want to ask, and I feel like now that we've sort of got into the conversation a bit more, and I already told you about this question before we started, but so so you went to the doctor and they've sort of said you need to make a lifestyle change. However, it could be argued that when you were growing up, some of the comments you received were also encouraging that, but in a negative way. And obviously, like the response that you had from them comments was taken negatively, and the response from the comments from the doctor were taken positively. And I understand they are two very completely different situations. But speaking to, for example, Manj, who said that he transformed their comments into like fuel, like motivation. So when he went to the gym, he would think about all the fat shaming comments and sort of turn them into positivity. And similarly, myself, when I went to the gym, that's sort of what I did as well. Could you argue that them comments can be beneficial?
No, I think they were quite hindering because they resulted in me eating more, and they were not my motivation at all.
But so when I don't mean just for yourself. I mean on a sort of wider.
I think they can be, but for some people. But I guess you've all got to remember that each individual. I'm trying to think of like a not political correct question answer, but it's going to be politically correct. No, I'm joking. It can result in like people committing suicide and things like that. That's not right.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Because when we organize this podcast, and when we organize this podcast, this is the one question that was going back and forth, because I know that obviously the cutting story, I heard this, and that's when like I had this question in my mind, because and I said it to Manj as well, is that for him to turn it into a positive and for myself to turn it into positive it doesn't happen with everybody, and it's like a spiraling effect. So either that spiral goes down or up. And fortunately for him, he was able to turn it into an upward spiral, use it as motivation, but for like many people it can go down. And I'd probably argue that more people will probably go down than up. So it is a very difficult one, but it's the argument that I had when I'm thinking about this, and I have thought about this for the past few days, like circling around in my mind a lot, is if the comments was something that you could not change, for example, skin color, if it was like racial, or if it was a disability, or if it was like something that you just that's not the fault of the person that you're attacking, then obviously unquestionably is wrong. You can't say that it's right. There's not even 1% of an argument that could say it's right. But when it's something that is literally like they're saying you're unhealthy, but in a very disgusting way, and can sort of, and a person can change that. My argument is that there's some sort of thing in there that is like, you know what, it's not, you shouldn't be able to get rid of that completely either.
Yeah.
Because you need a reality check sometimes.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. And I totally agree. And, you know, funnily enough, when I'm lifting, I go back to that state of when somebody is calling me fat, or I got rejected by guys for not being skinny. People say, oh, you got a banging personality. If you just lose a little bit of weight, you know, we maybe consider you to get married. So it does. There's no right or wrong answer to this question, to be honest. I'm going to look at it from two perspectives. It can be really bad because there's obviously the cutting, but it can also motivate people. Indirectly, it's probably motivating me without me even realizing, because when I'm struggling on the Stairmaster, that last push, I go back into that, you know, those words. But I think I've let go of them now. And because I can talk about it without crying or being sad, or having any hate towards it, those words don't mean anything to me. But I can put myself back into that childlike way just to push myself that little bit further. So in that sense, yeah, I think it's great. And I get some personal satisfaction when I've proved all those people wrong, because they said I was going to be a failure. You know, my family said it as well. My dad was like, oh, you're going to have to get married to somebody from India. You're not going to really have much career opportunities. I married somebody from Leeds who's pretty all right, and I've got a pretty cool job.
Yeah. It is, again, as I say, it is a weird one. And me having this argument does not condone anyone like saying them things. Do you know what I mean? Like, like obviously, before I went into the gym, there was maybe 3-4 years of where I was fat and got the comments and didn't do anything about it other than eat more food as well.
Yeah.
And that sort of state isn't healthy, and it's mentally healthy, physically healthy, anything. But when you make that mental switch and you can dip into it as motivation, and you can record the emotions and use that as like fuel, I think that is something very powerful. And it's hard to explain that and articulate it correctly without seeming offensive or condoning the words, and I'm not trying to do that, if that makes sense. I'm not as articulate yet as I probably should be. I know I've got a podcast and shit, but I need to be better with my words, I think.
No, I think you know how to channel that part of your life to work to your advantage. But I do recommend that if people are still feeling like that, you know, that as it's a way of going back to that childlike, to use that, and they've not let it go, I go and talk to somebody or journal how you feel, because as soon as you overcome that, you know, it's so much easier to just push it back like I do. And if I just need that extra bit of motivation, to be fair, I don't really need to, because people piss me off on a day-to-day basis, so I'll just use that. But, you know, I would say some of the stuff, but I know that this is going to get out public, and last thing I want to do is get nothing from someone in my household.
I think you've just given it away there, but never mind.
Oh, my husband's cool. He'll just like, such an idiot, Jassi. He'll just laugh about it.
Yeah, no, I think it is a powerful thing, but it's hard to articulate it properly because it is such a delicate thing. It's like there is a fine line between that spiral of going upwards or downwards. Like if you can channel it upwards, you're winning.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you've hit the jackpot, but it can go downwards so much more often.
And if anybody's going through this now, like, because people do, I think it's worse now than what we had, because it ended at school. Where now they get it through social media, they get it through WhatsApp. You know, what I would say is, if you're getting this sort of treatment, like, I would go and speak to your parents and just say, look, I want to make a healthy lifestyle choice. Don't do it because you want to prove these people are actually prove them wrong. But also just because when you're older, it's very difficult to lose that weight and you can become very unhealthy, physically, emotionally, very unhealthy. So if you're experiencing this now, this is what I would do if I was when I'm a mom. I want my kids to do all sorts of activities and have fun with food, but eat the right things, because I never want them to go through that trauma of being bullied because of their size, race, or gender. If they get bullied for that, then that's just, you can sort that out. But when it's something to do with their weight and things like that, I feel like as a parent, I'll have to have some sort of accountability to help that. And if I can bring it, like me and my husband eat pretty decent, healthy stuff, apart from he does eat McDonald's every day now and then, but try and live like a healthy, balanced life. Then if anybody that's experiencing that bully, please don't be like me and keep quiet. Go and get some help before it gets bad.
100%. Always reach out. And never feel like you reaching out as being a burden, because it isn't. If you feel like you can't reach out to a certain somebody, then reach out to somebody else. If not, I think on the Bali podcast, I've left links of websites that you can contact, and I'll do the same on this podcast as well. I'll put it in the link, because again, it's fucked up. it's the only way to sort of explain it. It's fucked, and I think
humans are fucked.
But you hit the nail on the head as well with the whole social media crack. Is like, obviously now it doesn't stop at school. It continues on into every like interaction that you have, because most of the interactions now are online. And also going full circle of body image standards and things on social media is fucked. And unless you do notice the little squiggly line in the tiles behind them, most kids won't notice that. Most kids will think, insert influencer who has had plastic surgery, who hasn't informed their audience of it here. That person, obviously, that the kids look at that and think it's real, and it's not. Like, I think it was on The Social Dilemma, if you watched that Netflix documentary. Honestly, it's absolutely phenomenal. But one of the and it opens your eyes onto a lot of things. And they were saying in that one, like, plastic surgeons now have a term for what like a lot of young people want to like do to their face, and it's literally called like filter face, like Snapchat filters. They want to, so a lot of kids will go into, or young people I should say, because I doubt any under 18 will probably get permission to do it, but a lot of young people will go into plastic surgeries places and want to make their facial structure more like what their Snapchat filter makes them look like, because it'll like get rid of all the blemishes, it'll enhance their cheekbones, it'll make their lips a bit more fuller.
I just need to lose a bit of weight, and then that happens to me.
Yeah, exactly.
My face loses it first. In fact, it has lost on this week, and then everything else follows after. So
exactly. And like you said, when you're in the gym, you feel accomplished. If you get it done first thing in the morning, the endorphins are going, and you won't need any of that crap from social media, because you're killing it yourself. Talking about social media, obviously you've got your page, which will obviously be linked in the description for people to check out. Probably should have said that earlier, but better late than never. But also, what we sort of interacted through initially was Clubhouse, which
we did. Yes,
you're the superstar on Clubhouse. You've got so many different rooms and things. Talk about what led you to get into that, why you created rooms, what the rooms were about.
I think Clubhouse is a way that you can get different people's opinions without like when you can't speak to people. Like, I like to speak to various people when I'm at work. And I think it's a little bit safer to say stuff rather than sometimes on your social media when you've got like your family and that on there. Because obviously I have to protect them. I am probably, sometimes I do post shit and I'm like, oh shit. But it's all right. I don't really give a fuck. If you don't like me, you can unfollow me. That's my ethos.
Yeah.
And the good thing about Clubhouse is you get to speak to all sorts of people from all over the world. And you come into some of the banter joke rooms, but we have a room called The Brits Are Here, where people from all over the world come and they want to know stuff what British people do, and it's just banter, a lot of jokes. And then obviously I want my own TV show called Spill the Jar. And I get people to come speak to me. I've got like loads of feedback, experience, and hopefully one day I'll be on Netflix with my own TV channel.
But you're going to be on TV soon as well with a different TV show, yeah?
I am, yeah. So
Oh,
just
we
waiting
allowed
for
to
that to
speak
happen.
about that, or
Not yet.
not yet?
But I'll let
Okay,
you know. Yeah.
okay. But keep updated because yeah, I think I've spoken to you about this on off podcast. I think it was on Clubhouse. But yeah, that should be happening shortly on a channel near you,
Yes,
a
I keep
national channel in the UK.
I'm not very good at live TV without swearing.
Mm.
So I've just been practicing not saying for fuck's sake.
Is it live?
Yeah, it'll be live
Oh
for my
wow.
sins. But I'm just
Good luck
waiting.
with
And
that
if
one.
that, do you know, if that doesn't pay off, then I'm gonna still keep trying. Like I've got to just get my letter together of what my concept is. And then I'm just gonna put it down and just say, look, I want to be the next Oprah Winfrey, but the Punjabi version.
Yeah, that's
The Sikh
exactly
version.
what India's missing right now is an Oprah Winfrey. Yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation. We've touched on like so many different aspects of physical health, mental health, a bit of putting the world to rights, and
Yeah, we did.
everything, all of the above. And as I say, your link will be in the description for your Instagram, and I'll leave the mental health link as well in there. But as you know, I like to end each podcast with the same 5 questions that I ask to every single guest as a nice way to just round off the podcast. So, number 1 is, what are you most proud of?
Not giving up when things got hard, and I managed to lose some weight. Yeah.
Very good answer. What are you most looking forward to?
Being a mom one day.
I knew that was going to come. It might be similar on this one. What is your biggest motivation?
To be the most healthiest version of myself that I can be.
What is your definition of success?
Doing what I was put on earth to do, and that's to make a difference.
And last but not least, because it's the KultureKast podcast, how has your culture affected you this far?
It's been difficult, but it's been the most amazing journey, and I would never change being who I am, and I'm so proud to be Sikh.
Smashed it indeed. Yeah, as I say, I've really enjoyed this.
I do want to say that I have a really cool job though.
I know we didn't touch on any of the robotic stuff and like computers and things like that, but
I'm actually a tech geek, aren't I? So you could just put it in my bio that she manages robots in the daytime and puts the world to right in the evening.
Yeah, I think I don't know if you mentioned this on Clubhouse or not. The robot side of thing was so you program, like, you do a lot of like algorithms and things.
No,
No,
I do. No, so algorithms. So I've actually programmed robots to do jobs.
Is in like physical robots or like computer
Robots? Is AI, artificial intelligence, I work with.
Oh, smashed it. So what, like, I think, no, I'm pretty sure you did mention this on Clubhouse, you know. It's something to do with finance or banks or something.
Yeah. I work with finance and having a look, like looking for fraud, writing letters, sending emails, reading emails, responding to emails, doing transactions, refunding customers.
So what then you set up the back end so that the computer can deal with it himself?
Yeah. So yeah, I am a manager of robots.
Wicked.
I managed people for a very long time, and then I moved on to robots.
Onwards and upwards. They'll be if Terminator is anything to go by, best to be on their good side.
Yeah, I did that. I started that job when I was about 32.
Oh, really? So fairly recently then.
But I've got a degree in virtual reality.
Fucking, we need to do another podcast to just cover all that shit.
Yeah, so I'm not just some weirdo that sits on Clubhouse all day chatting bullshit. I do actually have a really cool job.
That's only half of it.
It's only the half of the thing that I do. But it's always good. You only get one life, so why not just live it to the max and just have fun?
That's it.
And giggles.